Greetings, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. I am Charles Taylor, and I got Patrick Brackett with me. Say what's up, Patrick.
What's up, everybody? Rubbing my eyes, man. They feel like sandpaper.
In other words, he's tired.
I'm tired.
So good to have him. Good to have you on the show, Patrick. Even though you're tired, man, glad to have you on.
Miss it.
Well, all right, man. What'd you say?
I'm leaning though.
All right, man. We'll see. We'll see how the show goes. Hey, you know when you're leaning, that's normally when the best content comes out. You know how that goes, Patrick.
Yeah. Don't get on too crazy of a conversation because it'll come out.
So no Bryce Harper. No.
Nah, well, he didn't get traded, so.
All right. Well, let's get started with a few of these topics, Patrick, and we'll go ahead and start with Urban Meyer. So, Urban Meyer got put on a paid administered leave or administrative leave for things dealing with an assistant coach of his. Now, the guy's name is Greg Smith, and he had some domestic disputes. And I guess the main thing with this is they were asking Urban Meyer, did he know about it? He said no. And now this story has come out to where people are saying he did know about it and he just basically lied. Now, Patrick, I don't think there's really too much to this, honestly. I know a lot of people, okay, we'll just go ahead and say it. I was watching ESPN. You know, they have the college game day staff on there. So Reese Davis, Joey Galloway, David Pollock, Greg McElroy, all those people had their opinions on it. And they basically said, this is it for Urban Meyer. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, because that's hard to prove whether or not he knew. And if you go ahead and you let him go, if you're Ohio State, that's kind of setting a precedent for, well, if there's an allegation, we got to let them go. At some point, don't we have to look at the evidence and see how all this stuff comes out instead of just jumping to conclusions and saying somebody is going to just get fired just because of some allegations? What do you think?
Okay. I did read a little bit on this just right now. And what you were saying about how everybody says that he's just done. Okay, first of all, national champion coach. Again, you don't just fire somebody over allegations. One. Two, he's the head coach. How does he know this is not happening in his organization? I mean, if you don't know what's going on in your organization, then that tells me you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's going on with your people. It's just like we had this conversation a couple years back with the New Orleans Saints and how Sean Payton didn't know what was going on during Target Gate or whatever they called it at that time.
It's Bounty Gate,
whatever gate. Anyway, we got Urban Meyer Gate now, and I mean, look, if you're Urban Meyer and you don't know what's going on in your organization, maybe it is time for you to go. You know, same problems happen in Florida. He didn't know what was going on down there. So what did he do? He left. He comes home and goes start coaching at Ohio State. Okay, great. Now you don't know what's going on in your organization. What are you going to do now? This is a trend. Now it's a trend. But like you said, you really can't fire somebody over hearsay, allegations, whatever. I don't feel you should. Do I think this is the end of Urban Meyer? No. Ohio State wanted him for years. They finally got him, and then they're just going to let him go over this. No, this is one of those. This is one of those you sit down and you have a conversation. You find out where his head's at, and you say, "Get a control of it." Period. Get control of it. Once you get control of it, don't let it happen again. Now get out of my office. Plain and simple. That's the way I see it. But you need to know what's going on in your organization.
Now, look, even though I had said something about waiting and seeing where the evidence is and what comes out of this, don't get me wrong, Patrick. I think Urban Meyer knew. I do. I mean,
we want to be real. Yeah, he knows.
so I believe there's no way he could not have known. Especially if the ex-wife comes out, she does an interview. I guess she was talking to Urban Meyer's wife about these things. It's hard to think Urban Meyer's wife didn't know about this or didn't tell Urban what was going on with this situation. And this coach was down there. He was down there in Florida with them too. So this dude's not just a random guy who just showed up on the coaching staff. They've known each other for a good little while.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Urban Meyer knew. But I guess in terms of what it means for his coaching future, yeah, I'm not ready to say this is it for him. I pretty much agree with you in terms of what they brought him there for. Mm-hmm. Ohio State likes winning. It is a football first school, and unfortunately, that's gonna supersede everything. Now, there's a lot of scandals that are out there that goes on, and you say when you see these scandals, yeah, these guys could be gone. They should be gone in some cases, but as much money that's getting brought in by football, and particularly in a school like Ohio State, they might not go. And that's just the reality of it. This isn't me getting on a soapbox. It's the reality. You can look at all the cases that are out there, whether it be academic fraud, whatever else that's going on, where you're thinking, hey, maybe these coaches should be gone, but they stay fired. It takes something pretty drastic, like what's going on in Baylor right now, to get these coaches out of here. If it's not something like that, or what happened in Penn State with the pervert, Jerry Sandusky, unless it's something like that, most of these coaches are probably going to end up keeping their jobs because of the money that's being brought in, especially if they're winning. And Ohio State, they're around the college football playoff every year. At least they have been since Urban Meyer's been there. And it's going to be kind of hard for them to turn the other way on that. So while all those guys on ESPN, and they're pretty – College Game Day is one of the few shows I like on ESPN. And those guys are pretty – I mean, they're pretty well tied in. They pretty much know what they're talking about most of the time. But for them to say Urban Meyer is pretty much gone, I'm not so sure about that. It's just simple.
I agree. He knew. Every picture that you can see, you look at him, squinted eyes and everything. He knew. I'm squinting my eyes right now. Urban, you know, bro. Don't even lie. Don't even front. But we'll play the little game. We'll play your little game. You don't know. Okay. Well, get your crap under control, because if you don't, you might lose your job. I don't see it happening, but get your crap under control, even though we know you know. Okay, I'm good.
So Patrick, before we move on, Ohio State starts the season against Oregon State on September 1st. Is he the coach? Is Urban Meyer the coach when that game comes around?
Yes. I can't see why he would not be, unless something just unfolds and we got a whole freaking Young and the Restless fixing to come out. He's the coach. He's the coach.
All right, then. Yeah, I agree with you. I see him being the coach. Yeah, I do too.
Plus, it's Oregon State. Right. Yeah, he's the coach.
All right, Patrick. Well, let's move on and let's talk about Lamar Jackson. So, got the Hall of Fame game. The NFL's back. Woo! With their stupid rules and everything, but they're back. And so, tonight they got the Hall of Fame game between the Baltimore Ravens and Chicago Bears, and Lamar Jackson is getting some pretty good playing time. Now, quick to the point question, Patrick. Will he eventually sometime this year, take the starting job? Now, let me remind you, you like this. RG3 is still there too. Apparently, I forgot he was on the roster until about a few days ago. And so he's there too. But I think Lamar Jackson can take the job from him and Flacco. Dude, I really do. RG3, he's going to get hurt at some point. And Joe Flacco's just not that good. I don't think he's done anything since the Super Bowl MVP back in 2012. So, so yeah, I see the look you're making. You're like, yeah, that's true. So, yeah. So is Lamar Jackson. Let's give it a timeline, kind of like what we did with when Tim Tebow came to Philadelphia. He said he was going to be starting by week 4. So let's say
he should have been.
Huh?
He should have been.
So, hey, look, Patrick, I was with you too, man, because I mean, Sam Bradford and who was the other quarterback on there? Mark Sanchez. Yeah, he should have been behind them. Not at all. But let's give Lamar Jackson
over those. Condom should have started being quarterback.
There's that content. So can we see? Let's give Lamar Jackson week 6 or 7. Will he be starting then?
7. I'll give Flacco. They'll give Flacco the benefit of the doubt. But I'm sure, just like you said, you forgot that RG3 was on that team. Most of the Baltimore Ravens forgot he was on that team. I give Lamar Jackson until week 7. He'll be starting.
Because I think so. Because Joe Flacco, huh?
Stamped.
And because I don't think Joe Flacco, like I was saying, he's had either a subpar season or a just pretty bad season ever since the 2012 time, where we were thinking about him. Now, I remember this conversation we had after that Super Bowl run, where he had 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions during their 4 games in the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. We were actually having the conversation of whether or not he was an elite quarterback in the league. You remember that? How long ago was that? But do you remember that?
I do remember
that. And so since then, he just really hasn't been doing a whole lot. Now, they've had a couple of years, a few years actually, when they got into the playoffs, and they'll still manage to get a playoff win. I think it was 2014. They beat the Steelers when it didn't look like they were supposed to beat the Steelers, and almost beat the Patriots that year to go on. So the funny thing is, when Joe Flacco is able to get into the playoffs, all of a sudden he turns into a clutch dude. I don't get it. but boy, during the regular season, oof, pretty ugly. So yeah, no, I agree with you, Patrick. Huh?
We can't get him to do anything. I mean, the guy, he sucks during the regular season, man. He doesn't
terrible.
Do anything, man. And then it's like all of a sudden, it's like the Giants when they get to the Giants will go 6 and what is it? 6 and 10, and
6 and 10
get a birth of get the taste of a playoff, and then they'll put up like numbers that you've never seen before. Where did this defense come from? You couldn't stop the run for 10 games, and now they get -5 yards on you on a 4-quarter Super Bowl run.
Can't forget about your boy Eli.
Oh yeah, you can't forget about Eli. God, that dude sucks. Hey, but you don't get elite without Eli.
So they say, right?
So they say.
Well, yeah, and Joe Flacco's kind of that same dude. In the regular season, you wonder sometimes, did he forget how to play football? With some of the throws he makes that are just waiting for intercepting hands to grab the football when he lets it go.
Mhm.
I just I don't understand.
Nobody finds it. That's what surprises me the most. I mean, he throw a ball up and 15 people around the football and it finds the ground somehow. No, week 7. Get Flacco off the field, move on, retire him or something.
All right.
I'm good.
No, it's cool. Yeah. I'll give it week 9. Me personally, I'll give it week 9. A lot of that, of course, depends on the record Baltimore has at that time. Well, I don't see Baltimore doing much this year. I mean, they'll be week 5. You're going week 5 now? Oh, week 7. Okay. I see you holding up the fingers. To week 2.
Give it week 2 of the preseason.
How did they go from week 7 to
negative to week 2? I don't know.
I'll give them till week 9. I don't expect Baltimore to do much, but for some reason, Baltimore always remains competitive in the games. Even if they don't win them, they're always in them. Like, it's rare Baltimore gets blown out, and they either win the close game or they lose a close game. But yeah, I think Lamar Jackson can start by at least week 9 because I think Flacco's numbers, I don't see any reason why he's going to put up any numbers now if he hadn't been doing it for almost 6 years. So, so yeah. So we're in agreement. Lamar Jackson will start at least by the middle of this season.
Yeah.
All right, then. All right, cool. Well, let's go to the next topic, Patrick. Earl Thomas. So Earl Thomas is holding out from the Seattle Seahawks. He wants a new contract. The contract he's under now, it was originally a 4-year, $40 million deal, averages out to $10 million per year, and I think he's supposed to make $8.5 million this season. He wants a new deal. He wants to be paid like the best safety in the NFL. So, for context, the deal signed by Kansas City Chiefs safety Eric Berry, I think, was 6 years, $78 million. So an average of $13 million per year. Now, I think Earl Thomas is he's a pretty good safety. Some people would say he's the best in the NFL. I don't know. I mean, I'll give him like top two or 3. I don't know. Eric Berry's pretty good. The only thing with Eric Berry, he can't stay healthy at all. And Earl Thomas, he's been kind of dinged up too. So the main thing here, Patrick, is he's holding out, and he came out on the Players Tribune today talking about, I love nothing more than to be on the field right now. Well, you can be on the field. You're under contract. You're the one who's choosing to hold out. So who's stopping you from being on the field? If you want to be on the field so bad, I would love nothing more than to be on the field right now, doing the thing I love to do. But you're holding out. So what are you arguing? Patrick, help me out. Maybe I'm not seeing the point here, but if you're going on the Players Tribune and you're saying you would love to be on the field, you would like nothing more than to be on the field and playing the game you love, but you're holding out, what am I missing here? Help me, please.
I don't know what you're missing. This guy is saying, I want to be on the field. You know what? I want a foot massage. So I go get me a foot massage. But Thomas, what's the deal, bro? You want to be on the field? Go get on the field.
He's under contract,
especially if you're under contract. Guess what? Get your butt on the field. Because I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, $8 million for a safety. That's good. Get your butt out on the field. You want to play? Get on the field. If you don't, stay at home. I'll buy a new safety for $4. Yeah, you're still under contract, but I think at this point, I think all the guaranteed money's already paid out. Or you wouldn't be holding out for a new contract. Guess what? You don't get on the field, you don't get paid. And then you know how Charles, we talked about this. If we haven't talked about it 100 times, we talked about it 1,000,000 times. Everybody has their own agenda, whether it be I'm holding out for more money, or I'm setting out on this cause, or whatever, blah 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 blah, whatever the case may be. Well, when rent comes due, guess what? They'll find their way out on the field. Whether they get a new contract or they don't, rent comes due, they out on the field.
Or they get started hitting with fines.
Or they start getting hit with fines. Yeah, guess what? You're not here because most contracts, especially with you being the top safety in the league, you win, your team wins without you. Guess what? You start becoming disposable. 1, 2, your contract says that if you are a face of the franchise, you will do interviews. Guess what? If you're not playing, you're not doing interviews. Guess what? That means you start paying money back to the organization. You want to be out on the field, man, you might want to be out on that field. If you want to get paid, you might want to get out on that field. Just saying.
And Patrick, here's another thing, man. I understand. I do. I do. I don't want to seem naive here. I understand why dudes hold out. I get it because they want their new deal. I don't agree with it because you're still under contract, so you should show up. But I get it. I understand. Now, my nephew and I were talking. We were talking about Julio Jones earlier today. Now, Julio Jones, he's in camp. He did eventually show up to camp because the Falcons gave him another $2.8 million or something to smooth things over. But dude, he was 3 years. He had 3 years left on his deal. Yeah, 3 years left on his deal, and he signed a 5-year, $71 million contract, something like that. 5 years, $71 million, around $14 million per year. Now, Antonio Brown, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. He's making $17 million a year. A lot of people would say Antonio Brown's the best receiver in the league. Julio Jones, 2, 3, depending on, I guess, because people want to put Odell Beckham in there right now as the top 3, but I don't think he's better than Antonio Brown or Julio Jones. Now,
who?
Yes, your boy. And you know what? I got something else to say about your boy, too, because I'll actually give him props when it comes to the contract thing.
Mr. Hot Tub Love.
Yeah, I know, right? But look, hey, go Google the YouTube video if y'all don't know what Patrick is talking about. Just go Google it. Just put Odell Beckham bathtub. Yeah. Or hot tub. Y'all don't know what we're talking about. But I'm gonna give Odell Beckham props for this here. He had to hold out. Now he was, because they're talking about him getting a new deal, and to his credit, he's come to camp. He's come to camp. He hadn't held out. He's there. He's performing. The thing is, man, the teams know you're coming due for a deal. The teams know the contract situation. They know the contract structure. They know the market value. They know what's going on. That's why you have an agent as a player. Let the agent take care of that. Obviously, you're going to have a say-so in it because you're the one who has to play out this contract. But that's why you have an agent to negotiate these things. In the meantime, dude, play football. Go to camp. You're okay. All right, you're getting paid. It might not be what you deserve or what you think you deserve, but you're getting paid. Go to camp, dude.
They lucky, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. They get paid all this money. They lucky they don't have a real job. Because you know what? I'm gonna call my business. I own my business. I'm gonna call my business and be like, look, I'm gonna hold out for more money. You know what I'm gonna do to myself? I'm gonna fire myself. Point blank. I'm gonna fire you. You know what, PJ? You fired. Get out of here holding out for what? But then I'll quickly hire myself back on because the only person that can do the work is me. But I ain't holding. Dude, come on. I'm not gonna hold out. Jesus, that's dumb. That is fire. No matter where you go, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call my clients tomorrow and be like, look, I want more money, so I'm gonna hold out all your services. And they'll be like, well, I'll just go over here and get this other computer company to do it. Now I just lost all my money because I want to hold out. Can't pay my rent. And I got to hustle all over again. Come on. Get your butts on the field. It's a freaking game. You're doing what you love to do. Why are you whining about more money? Just get out there and do it. Let your agents handle that. Like you said, let your agents handle that. I'm done. Stupid.
And real quick before we move on, man. Earl, I'm still looking. I still need you to help me out, Patrick, because I felt confused by Earl Thomas's message. Okay. I was legitimately confused. I almost called you on the spot when I read this message. I almost sent you the article. Like, Patrick, read this, help me out, and tell me if I'm confused. This man is talking about he wants to be on the field. He doesn't want anything more than to be on the field, but you're holding out.
Your choice to
So
hold
you
out.
must not want to be on the field that much if you're holding out for a new deal.
You know what? You know what? That's what I'm gonna tell my balls next time they're scratched when they need to be scratched. I'm just gonna hold my hand out. I'm gonna be like, my hand's holding out. It wants more money. It wants more money to scratch your balls. That's what I'm gonna do. Though my hand would love nothing more than to go and scratch my own balls, but I'm gonna hold out. I'm just gonna hold out. Get out on the field. God. What does it matter? Get on the field. This is like. Anyway, next topic.
Oh, no, Patrick, rant. Rant. Or, okay, not too bad of a rant, but rant.
It's dumb, man. I mean, why would you make the comment? Why would you make the comment? If you're going to make the comment that you want to be out on the field, then get your ass out on the field. But you're holding out for more money. Look, I understand. You're the second, third, top three. We'll say top three safeties in the game. Let your talent speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? How many more years has he got on his contract? 2?
Well, this is the last year.
Oh, this is the last year.
Coming up.
Even better, go out there and have like 9 interceptions and force them to want to pay you $17 million as opposed to whatever. I don't know, man. See, that's what I don't understand, man. Look, we do that crap, we get fired. These guys get to hold out on their contract. They're in a binding contract, yet nobody enforces. But what's the point in the contract? That's what I guess that's my next question. What's the point in the contract? Because if they can just hold out and get a new contract because they want to hold out. See, for me, I'd tell them, man, you're under contract. You work for me. Show up to camp. No, I'm going to fine you $150,000 every day you are not in camp. 150. No, you know what? Make it 250. $250,000 every day you're not in camp, because I would love for you to just stay at home. You'll pay me back your salary in 3 months. I'm good with that. Stay at home. Don't show up. Don't show up at all. But every day you're not here, I'm fining you $250,000. I put it in the contract. Nobody will want to play for me. But then I have all kinds of bonuses that says, yeah, I want to play for that guy. But I'd find the hell out of him. Find the hell out of him. Dude, holding out is almost as bad as flopping. Almost as bad.
Is it?
It's like the 2 dumbest things in all of sports: holding out and flopping. Why would you do either one? I'm 6'9", 950 pounds, and I'm gonna flop on a 5'2", 20-pound gummy bear. Why would you flop on that? Don't flop. Don't hold out. Don't flop. Don't hold out. I'm gonna find the hell out of everybody. $1 million for every second you're not in school or you're not on the field.
In school. So, all right.
Geez.
So,
don't ask me on that one.
It's all good, man.
You're not in school. You're fine.
Yeah.
Just fine them.
Oh, Patrick.
God, if I got fined for all the times I wasn't in school.
Yeah. Baby.
Every time it rained, I'd be fined.
Yeah. Yeah. About that. No. Well, Patrick, on that note, we'll move on to our last topic. It was the Major League Baseball trade deadline, or it was Tuesday, July 31st. And there was a lot of activity going on. And I personally, when looking at some of the trades that were made, going from the Boston Red Sox acquiring Ian Kinsler. You had the Yankees. They were trying to upgrade their pitching staff, so they added Hap, like you pointed out last week. And I'm just going through like some of the bigger trades. Not all these happened on the trade deadline, but I mean these were some of the better trades for teams that are competing. I felt they weren't trying to hit a home run. They were literally just making just good, smart moves to bolster the roster. The Ian Kinsler move to the Red Sox, I love for Boston because they can't wait for Dustin Pedroia anymore because they don't know when he's going to come back. So you get a guy like Ian Kinsler, a vet dude who's been through some of those battles, to come in with that lineup that has Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, and Andrew Benintendi, and those dudes. Man, it looks pretty good for the Red Sox. And then they beat the Yankees 15-7 tonight. But
after being down 4-0, mind you.
I know. That 8-run fourth inning. Woo. Let's see. I mean, there's some other ones. The Pirates, they made some moves to bolster their pitching staff. Getting Chris Archer from Tampa Bay from the Rays. The Dodgers, of course, they picked up Manny Machado, and then they picked up Brian Dozier from the Twins. Another just solid move. I mean, what's your thoughts on it, man? I mean, those are some of the moves that just kind of stood out to me. They're just good moves.
My personal opinion is probably one of the best years I've seen in pitching for teams that are in the hunt for October. A lot of teams made some, like you said, weren't going for home runs. They were just, trying to keep it in the park, but really boost that lineup, whether it be for hitting or whether it be for pitching, defense, offense, whatever. These teams, like you said, Boston, that was probably one of the best solid moves in most of the trades this year. It was very interesting watching most of those trades go through because there's a lot of them that you just didn't really think, like Hap going to the Yankees. I mean, it was almost about not to happen, but then, bam, kicked off, and then he moved over. I mean, that was a solid move that Yankees needed to. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, they also got Lance Lynn.
Yeah, they also got Lance Lynn. So I mean, they made some really good moves for them. Though Boston put it on them tonight, I think Yankees will settle in. And you probably won't see a 15-7 Boston New York game like that. That was just crazy watching a Boston New York go that high. But it was kind of nice. I mean, it was a lot of action, a lot of hitting, no defense whatsoever, obviously. But I think that'll settle in. I think both teams will settle in and start really, really focusing in on what they need to do for playoffs. Dodgers making the moves they made. It was just, I think it was just a really solid year of trades right before the deadline. Probably one of the best I've seen in 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years.
And it was just good, solid moves. That was the thing that kind of impressed me. Normally, as you were saying, you have your teams who come out and they're trying to get just these big name guys. But it was just good. I just need to upgrade the roster. We see a little bit of a weakness here that might be that could get exploited when we go on and try to go through these battles. Let's go ahead and just get the guy we think can help us win. Another one, the Chicago Cubs getting Cole Hamels. They needed a pitcher. That was a very smart move for the Cubs to get a frontline starter who has been through the battles of the playoffs, and he can come right in there and be either the second or third starter. You already have John Lester. Then it depends on what Kyle Hendricks you get. If you're going to get that Kyle Hendricks who was pitching when the Cubs won the World Series, then Hamels is your number 3. Because Kyle Hendricks was different. Huh?
Hamels is at 2. You're not gonna get that Kyle Hendricks. You're just not. I mean, there's a pitcher that has a crazy breakout playoff every year, but then there's film after that. It's your solid pitchers like Cole Hamels, John Lester, who does it year and year after time after time after time. Kyle Hendricks is not that pitcher. He's your 3. Hamels is your 2, and that's the way it will be in Chicago. And that's a great setup right there.
And let's not forget, so the Braves, they have made a move to get the pitcher. I forget the pitcher they got. They got him from Baltimore because Baltimore just basically is just giving up on everything. So they traded everybody. They traded everybody. Patrick, what has happened to them? I think I asked you this last week, but I still don't know. What has happened to the Baltimore Orioles? In 2014, they won the division. They won the AL East. In 2016, they made that playing game, but they were still a good team. What has happened to them?
Well, first of all, they got rid of all their pitching that they had in those teams. 1, 2. I mean, I rode high on them in 2012, 13, and 14. But after that, they just weren't the team that you saw in those previous 3 years. They just weren't. Their lineup stayed the same, but their pitching went way downhill. And then Baltimore doesn't really have that big of a farm team, so they're having to do what the Yankees do without the money,
trying to spend and keep these big name people, and like you said, they don't. So, they got Gossman. My fault. The Braves got Gossman.
Oh yeah, I was looking that up because I forgot his name too. So, but that's a good pickup for the Braves. I mean, that was something that they needed too.
So it's just good. I like this trade deadline because these teams were saying, man, we just kind of need some big. If you want to call the Manny Machado trade to the Dodgers the big name trade being moved or whatnot, I mean, you could. I mean, Manny Machado is a very good player, but to get him onto the Dodgers where you can move him around too. He's been playing shortstop this year, but he can play third base. So that gives them a lot of versatility there. Justin Turner's been in and out of the lineup. They lost. Who did they lose? The Dodgers I'm talking about. Yeah, they lost Corey Seager for the year.
Yeah.
So that was that's just something just to kind of bolster up that system. And then the Dodgers didn't give up any of their top prospects to get them either. So I just like what the teams are doing. And it looks like over time, Patrick, and I know this could be a bigger conversation, but these teams are smartening up now. They're not, it seems like they're really trying to concentrate on developing these players, or at least most of the teams, trying to keep their prospects, develop these prospects, and kind of go homegrown. They may try to sign a free agent or two to kind of help it out a little bit. But for the most part, these teams are saying we are not going to spend these ridiculous big money contracts on these people anymore. So, hey, that to me it's smart because at some point you got to stop chasing your ass. Yeah. At some point, and the Texas Rangers are finding that out right now. You got to start chasing your ass. You got to stop chasing your ass. You got to start developing the farm system. So when you go for it, if you decide you're going to make these trades and get these big names, and don't get me wrong, Patrick, when the Texas Rangers made these moves for Cole Hamels, Jonathan Lucroy, Prince Fielder, whoever, Matt Garza, Ryan Dempster, go on and on and on with some of these moves. Cliff Lee back in the day. When they were making all these moves, I did like these moves because I'm saying, okay, yeah, they're going for it. But when you do that, you're mortgaging your future. And if you don't have it pay off in the World Series title, which we all know the Rangers were so close to getting that World Series back in 2011.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't pay off with the title, now you start to see those after effects. I mean, it's even worse for Baltimore right now, but the Rangers now, they're just kind of in this stage where they're having to try to do everything they can to rebuild this farm system. So you trade Cole Hamels, you get a good amount of prospects back. They traded Keon Ukela, their closer, to the Pirates to get a couple of pitching prospects, and they traded Jake Diekman to the Arizona Diamondbacks for a prospect or two. So here's your beginning thing. Hopefully you can start to see them developing, and then by the time the Rangers get in their new stadium in 2020, they might be ready. I doubt it because Houston and and what the Yankees and Red Sox are doing, gonna be tough to beat for a few years.
It's going to be tough. That's the reason why they're probably just building their prospects back up. Like you said, man. I mean, you at some point. Oh, here's a good one. At some point, you got to stop chasing your ass because the only thing you're going to catch is shit.
Yeah, slammer.
Go ahead and put it on me. But it's true. I mean, at some point, you got to stop. You got to stop, and that's what Texas did. I mean, they were so close, dude. I mean, dude, you can almost taste it for them. But like you said,
the
2011.
shit or
no,
okay,
2011.
my bad. Sorry.
Now they're so close to that, they can taste the shit. But but what I'm saying is they were so close in 2011. I can see why they made the moves. Yeah, you're gonna mortgage off the farm in hopes that you put this World Series in, because if you can put this World Series in, then your farm will come back quicker. But it didn't work. And like you said, Baltimore's experiencing this, and the only way you're going to get out of not having a farm system is you're going to dish out money. And these teams like Atlanta, Boston, Texas, Arizona, these teams will sell the crap out of their players to make a lot of money. And that's the reason why you see New York will buy 3 or 4 prospects from Arizona. And that's the reason why Arizona doesn't do anything, because they're just too busy picking up good players and then selling them off. Atlanta did that for many years, made a decent profit of it. Now they're ready to, they want to put some rings on their fingers. So you can see why their farm system is doing what it's doing. Boston, they figured out a good way of keeping major prospects and selling major prospects and still being able to make World Series runs, and they found a beautiful balance. You can probably thank Billy Beane for most of that. But I mean, you got to find that balance, and Yankees can do it because they got the money. Teams like Texas, Baltimore, Atlanta, you got to rely on your smarts. You got to rely on your farm system, and you cannot mortgage it. And that's a lot of teams are not doing. They're really sitting tight with what they have. And when players want to be too much money, then send them off somewhere else where they can make that money, and we'll just build up another one. So, I mean, that's what Atlanta's doing. And look how it's paying off them pretty well. They're actually, a year and a half ahead of schedule right now? So,
well, then on that note, Patrick, guess we'll go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. So that is it for the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. Make sure you catch us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and eventually we'll get an Instagram. No, this is all right. We're taking baby steps, but we'll be there. And also, everybody have a good weekend, and we'll be back soon. All right, so take care.